morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinars. Ladies and gentlemen, cities are all around the world facing the increasingly challenges. They try to find more effective and efficient solutions to handle those challenges. Technology-based solutions become very popular as a choice, but only setting up the technology is not enough. There are other changes and transformations should be done as well as technology adoptions. In this webinar, we invite speakers from Indonesia, also from other countries, to share their experience and idea. We hope this event can give us valuable result toward better city in the futures in Indonesia, also all around the world. Yeah. We will start this webinar with the opening remark. As the first opening remark, we welcome Ibu Reni Wirahadikusuma as the Rector of ITB. Please, Ibu Reni.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang terhormat Bapak Tito Karnavian, the Minister of Home Affairs of Indonesia, Honorable Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam, the Director General for Southeast Asia ADB, yang terhormat invited speakers from our neighboring countries, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, my colleagues from ITB, hello everyone, good morning, warmest greetings from Bandung, Indonesia. Every university in Indonesia must carry out three main roles. We call these three very important roles as three dharma of higher education. In carrying out the role of education and then conducting research and development, and third, applying knowledge or research results in the real world to improve the quality of life. Those three are our three dharma. So helping cities to become smart cities is one of the implementation of the third role. As one of the eldest engineering universities in Indonesia, ITB has very long contribution in our country, including helping to develop various cities in Indonesia. Before entering the smart city era, the areas of expertise in urban planning, architecture, environmental engineering were more contributing to the development of various cities in Indonesia. Now, furthermore, additionally, in the era of Industry 4.0 and the convergence of knowledge, ITB has a research center called SCCIC, or Smart City and Community Innovation Center. It is one of very important research center in Indonesia, and especially SCCIC is a multidisciplinary research and development center with experts from various fields to support the development of smart systems, including smart cities. So many things have been produced and executed by this center in the last 5 years, supported by the Office of the Vice President of Indonesia. Thank you, Bapak. Every year, we organize an Indonesian Smart City Rating, which aims to measure the progress of city development in Indonesia towards smart cities. So the support from our central government and from the top, from the Mr. Vice President himself. Thank you very much. So with this activity, innovative cities can be identified and other cities can learn and adopt proven solution from their counterparts. each city will also realize where their strengths and weaknesses, so it can be more effective in executing improvement efforts. So the center has also developed a smart city development model and framework that is always improved regularly. So one of the interesting things about the model is the so-called living lab. This is a concept which is also proposed as one of the policy brief in the G20 meeting. So based on long observations from various cities in Indonesia, one of the failure factors from implementing smart city solutions is the direct implementation of solution in the entire city area. So the problem is, or the failure factor is the aspect of direct implementation. This strategy becomes too complex because the city is a complex system of systems. The living lab is a limited area of the city that is controllable and observable for testing a solution and adjust for importance variables. So this center invite all parties, government, industry, and any parties who would like to join this effort in improving the living lab approach. SCCIC was also entrusted with as the host institution for Task Force number 2, one of the think tank 20 of G20. It is an honor for ITB, and of course, what is more important is the concrete evidence that ITB's contribution in advancing the G20 countries and the world in general. So in the era of Industry 4.0, transformation, rapid changes in all fields, including internal ITB, we always take a flexible and adaptive attitude while still paying attention to the existing governance. If such situation is possible, ITB always tries to be the locomotive of changes. Great appreciation to ADB for bringing us together to organize this very, very important event. Finally, I hope this meeting will become an arena for sharing knowledge and experiences from our colleagues, experts from many different countries to find better solutions, to advance science and technology, and also to bring cities in the world to become smarter cities and a very enjoyable place to live. So thank you very much again, everyone. ITB is looking forward to our wonderful future collaboration. Please stay healthy and happy. Thank you very much again for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ibu Reni, the rector of ITB. Yeah, ITB has done many things to support the development of smart city in Indonesia, as well as G20 countries. This event will not be held without a major contribution from ADB. Next, we have opening remark from the Minister of Home Affairs, but in this case will be represented by Dr. Safrizal, MSE. Pak Safrizal is the Director General of Regional Administration Development of Ministry of Home Affairs. Pak Safrizal, please, you have 5 minutes to deliver your speech.
Pak Ari, I think it seems like the DG is having trouble connecting.
Okay, I think it's better we move to the next opening remarks, yeah, from Mr. Winfried Wicklane. Yeah. Mr. Winfried, the Deputy Directors General of ADB Southeast Asia Department, where he supports the planning and delivery of ADB goals, strategies, and work plan in Southeast Asia, including ADB technical assistance, knowledge products, and grant and loan project in ASEAN, and all sub-regionally cooperation initiative in the regions. Yeah. Mr. Winfried, you have 5 minutes to deliver your speech. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. Can you hear me well?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, and good morning, Professor Rainey and Dr. Safrisal, if you can hopefully hear us. And is connected now. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi. Yeah.
Very happy and honored, privileged to join you in opening this joint ADB-ITB webinar, which looks at how to make Indonesian cities smarter. So while the technical solutions and the financial resources to develop smarter cities are basically largely available, but from our experience in the ADB, we find that the key bottleneck for smart city development is really the institutional ecosystem. And with that, I mean mainly the limited capacities and the limited appreciation of how digital tools can support the development of smart and especially livable cities. So we have in the ADB have put always strong emphasis and our support for livable cities in the Asia-Pacific region. And frankly, you will agree this has become ever more relevant now as we are grappling with the impact of COVID-19. I think these days we all realize more than ever how important it is to reflect on how we can transform our cities to be more resilient to future pandemics and crises. So the importance of sustainability and inclusivity in the cities, and also how cities may become smarter, including through the use of digital technologies. So through the ADB-managed ASEAN Australia Smart Cities Trust Fund, we are supporting various city activities in Indonesia. For example, in Makassar, we support the preparation of Makassar Livable City Plan, which presents a city-wide framework for the prioritization of smart and livable aspects of city development. This project works with various digital tools and platforms to integrate the existing city plans and initiatives in Makassar under one holistic framework, which then will enable a smart and collaborative approach to future city development planning and investment in the city, in Makassar. So these types of digital tools and also the interactive city plan that we are developing for Makassar will then be made public and available soon. And that will, as we hope, then also inspire and indeed create opportunities also for other cities in Indonesia and hopefully even beyond Indonesian borders in the region. With the Ministry of Home Affairs, we are in discussion currently on how we can collaborate to develop smart cities capacity for the current city managers in Indonesia. And at the same time, we are discussing with ITB on how we, ADB, can help support the education of the future city managers as part of ITB curriculum. And we look forward to engaging in city development with all of you going forward. So today's workshop, as Professor Reina mentioned, is really help us understand the challenges and opportunities for introducing smart city development in Indonesia, the suggestions and ideas which which we'll discuss today and which will be raised, will then inform the G20 process through the think tank task forces, one of which the task force on digital transformation and cybersecurity is led by the ITB. And so this provides our discussions today some additional momentum and special meaning as it goes into the G20 process. Let me close off by also recognizing the contributions of the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, which has made the organization of this webinar possible. And of course, much appreciation, grateful to ITB for the excellent cooperation and partnership over the years, and especially excited about our cooperation, collaboration in future. Thank you all for your participation, and I wish you and us a successful workshop today. Terima kasih, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Terima kasih, Mr. Winfried, and great appreciation for ADB initiatives and anything that all be done for Indonesian cities. Yeah, I want to check again. Is Dr. Safriza is already here among us?
By speed, I think chatting send video recording.
Christine, can you help me to?
Hi, Doc Ari. What I would suggest would be that while we're waiting for the recording from the
Okay.
DG, maybe we could move forward, and then maybe we
Okay.
could just play it as soon as we get his recording. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next agenda, let's return for a moment to the polls. Yeah, that already prepared. We have two polls. This is the first one, and this is a very simple questions. Yeah, every participants asked to read carefully the question. Very simple question: challenges of smart cities or tantangan for kota cerdas in Indonesia. So, what is your opinion? Yeah, if we talk about challenges of smart city, you have to choose. Anda harus memilih satu dari 5 jawaban yang tersedia. You have to choose one of 5. Yeah, between 5 available answers. I hope you can choose one of 5 in maximum 10 seconds. Okay, please. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and finish. I hope all participants or most of this is the result. You can see the result. So the most answer is the first ones. Yeah, lack of digital infrastructures and connectivity. At least, I guess these answers represent Indonesia because most of participants come from Indonesia. Yeah, very interesting. At least we realize that from the view of participants, public, yeah, Indonesia have to put more attention for improving digital infrastructures. Thank you, Christine. We can move to the our next agenda. Yeah, yeah. Next, little bit more serious now. Yeah, we have a very important person here, Joris van Etten. Yeah, he is a senior urban development specialist at the ASEAN Development Bank and the coordinator of the ASEAN Australian Smart City Trust Fund. which is managed by ADB and financed by the Government of Australia Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Joris has over 15 years of experience in working with urban stakeholders and has extensive experience in developing and implementing capacity development strategies, and has provided substantive inputs for the development of urban strategies and policy. Joris, you have 7 minutes to deliver your idea experience. Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Ari. Selamat pagi, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can see my screen, and I'm very pleased to be here and talk about some of the experiences we have at the Asian Development Bank of stimulating smart cities. My talk is about moving from best practice to next practice. As we have seen over the shocks and stresses over the last decades, and this is just health shocks and stresses, economic stresses, but of course there's many more, natural disasters, wars, etc., etc. That there's lots of shocks and stresses which are impacting urban living. And my point I want to make today is that this is really the right time now for us to rethink of how to move forward and to face these current and future challenges and stresses. And if you look at so far, we used to talk always about best practice. So we look at other cities and we see what's the best practice which are applied there. However, that is retrospective and it's maybe more of the same. You have to know that whenever we are constructing cities, we are constructing them when we build a road or a sewer system. These are things which we construct for the next 100 years. So you need to anticipate in the design, you need to anticipate the future shocks and stresses, which maybe we don't even are aware of at the moment, what these shocks and stresses are. So while best practice is system-centric, next practice really has to focus on being human-centric and resilient to future shocks and stresses. Now, if we look forward to that, the idea here of a smart and livable city concept, which I would like to promote, is that it's a concept which goes beyond technology, but which looks at human elements. And for that, we really need to make sure that we understand the city well, and that we understand how the city and its different elements collaborate in order to create one livable city. On this one, I would like to then move forward to focusing on one example, which we have supported in the city of Makassar, where through the ASEAN Australia Smart Cities Trust Fund, ADB has collaborated with the city of Makassar to prepare a Makassar Livable City Plan. This plan complements all the different plans which a city in Indonesia already has to prepare. And some of you who are looking at this particular slide might think like, wow, this is already so much, but this is the reality that a city in Indonesia has to prepare a lot of plans. So the question is, why do we need another plan? Now, what we felt is that even though we have a city has to prepare all these plans, what you see is that there's a lack of common ground or common data on which these plans are prepared. So the thing we've been working with the Makassar city was to really try to see to what extent we can help them to provide a common database, a common source, a common reference framework, which then feed into all these other plans which have to be prepared anyway. And in order to do that, we really wanted to make sure of data which can be collected using all the new digital tools that are available, expert analysis. Then we have that online plan as opposed to a hard copy plan. And there's a number of digital tools. And let me walk you through these different elements now fairly quickly. So the first element is indeed the data and the inputs. These include spatial and temporal data sets, a data document and document library, citizens' inputs, as well as collaboration. Of course, this was all done during COVID-19, where it was challenging for us to travel. So actually, this was a blessing in disguise, allowing us to link to data which are available online and use digital tools for us to talk to each other. The second element was the expert analysis. So we still had that happening, and 14 documents were prepared on certain key infrastructure and other challenges. And for example, here you see one, climate change and natural hazards. And there was, of course, also quite some discussion with the city of Makassar to verify that the data which were collected and the experts analysis which was prepared indeed made sense. So together, the data and the input and the expert analysis led to the preparation of this Makassar Livable City Plans, which was an interactive platform as an interactive digital report where people can scroll through and link back to all the maps and resources which are available. So it's not a static document, but it's a document where you can run through the different elements of and the different data and see how they all come and link together. So I think, again, this is a wonderful example of how digital technology allows us to present results even better than we used to before. This online platform, the Makassar Livable City Plan, was supported by a number of tools. One of those is the prioritization toolkit. So this toolkit actually lists all the possible infrastructure investments by the city of Makassar, and by verifying some, by changing some of the indicators or priorities of what's important for you, actually the ranking of a certain infrastructure solution goes up or down. So you can, for example, rank projects which are, easy to implement, so with less complexity, or which can be implemented in a short time scan, or which are not so expensive. So by being able to manipulate these inputs, you're able to reprioritize your infrastructure investment. So it's a
2 minutes more.
Absolutely. So it's a tool to prioritizing smart and livable interventions. Another example was the citizen engagement dashboard. So this built on surveys held with citizens in Makassar. And the way we can look at the data presented there is, for example, if you want to see all the data of the whole city, that's fine. But you also can just, for a certain area in the city, you can look at feedback, or just in an age group or in a certain social economic group, you can see what the preferences and particularly citizens' satisfaction on a certain service was. A third element was the unified spatial data, which I think is really important, of being able to overlay different data and understand the interrelationships. And the last one was a digital climate resilience platform, which again provides another overview of data, which can be used to inform planning. So on that note, this platform has really helped us and the city of Makassar to provide a baseline which is helpful for further planning, and of course for hopefully then to really use those plans and the analytical capacity which the platforms has to make better decisions. Because in the end, it's not really about the technology. The technology is an enabling factor. It's really about smart is really about putting people first. And with that note, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Joris. Very interesting presentations. Yeah, today data become more and more important and valuable, including for smart city. Okay, next I will invite Professor Suhono, Harso Supangkat, Pak Suhono. Yeah,
Yes.
he is the director of Smart City and Community Innovation Center of ITB, well known as SCCIC. Since 2000, he has been assisting a number of government agencies and industry on matters relating to regulation and IT governance. He was appointed as special advisor to the Minister of ICT of Indonesia from 2007 up to 2009. And today, Pak Suhono also well known as a father of Smart City of Indonesia, because he provoked any party in Indonesia to move to the better city with the Smart City initiative. Okay, Pak Suhono, you have 7 minutes to deliver your speech, please.
Thank you, Pak Ari, and also all of the participants and distinguished and also the speaker. Good morning. Well, I use bahasa Indonesia because there is also a translator. Well, let me hope. Baik, saya kira tadi Pak pembicara sebelumnya, Pak Youri sudah bicara berbagai contoh yang telah diterapkan di Makassar, dan juga My Rector telah memberikan satu sambutan terkait dengan ITB. Saya akan menjadikan mengenai bagaimana pengalaman kami di dalam membangun Smart City Framework dan berbagai tantangan dan peluangnya. Saya kira ini mengingat saja bahwa Smart City pada intinya adalah kota yang bisa mengelola berbagai sumber dayanya, ada manusia, ada alam, dan yang terakhir data. Data is a capital. Data adalah modal. Tadi sudah berbicara sebelumnya, dan harus dikelola dengan baik, secara efisien, efektif, sehingga meningkatkan quality of life. Better quality of life. Nah, ini adalah sesuatu apa yang disampaikan di dalam judul flyer, bagaimana kita menjadikan smart way. Nah, kami mempunyai satu model di dalam pengembangan Smart X. X bisa kota, bisa daerah, bisa provinsi, tetapi di situ ada yang berkaitan dengan indikator. Saya kira Standar Nasional Indonesia atau rencana yang sedang disiapkan Pak Gensli dan kawan-kawan di Kementerian Dagri dan juga dengan kementerian yang lain menyangkut mengenai indikator-indikator Smart City, itu adalah quality of life di suatu kota, ataupun bagaimana smart way. Jadi ada dua, smart way, cara berpikirnya, cara mengerjakannya, manajemennya, dan sebagainya, itu adalah people dan system. Nah, di samping itu ada service layer, ada enabler layer, ada resource layer. Ini yang kita kembangkan, bahwa kita dimodali adanya tanah, kita ditemui dengan sumber daya alam, bagaimana kita mengelola, bagaimana manusia, bagaimana data, dan seterusnya, dan seterusnya. Nah, kami telah mengembangkan apa yang disebut dengan Smart City Framework 4.0, bahwa mengelola kota harus tahu modelnya, harus tahu mengukurnya, harus tahu berkolaborasi. Kota tidak bisa bekerja sendirian. Harus bisa mengembangkan development modelnya. Kemudian enterprise architecture, dan juga bagaimana kerjasama dengan pihak yang lain, public-private partnership. Ada rencana kota yang pemerintah, ada rencana swasta, ada rencana komunitas. Bagaimana disinergiskan? Jangan sampai hanya silo-silo atas kepentingan masing-masing, sehingga malah tidak terjadi suatu transformasi menuju kota yang kita inginkan. Nah, kita mengembangkan model. Tadi kalau dari framework ada model, ada standar, ada pengukuran, maka model. Model yang kita usulkan adalah mengikuti Sustainable Development Goal, di mana antara ekonomi, society, environment harus balance. Ekonomi terlalu maju tapi kotor bagaimana? Banyak kota ataupun kelautan, saya bicara dengan Menteri Kelautan, bahwa banyak laut-laut yang kotor. Kalau laut kotor itu artinya apa? Penambangan ikannya terlalu serakah. Kalau serakah maka laut tidak ekologinya kurang baik. Demikian juga kota. Kalau kota itu dieksplorasi, sampahnya ngaco, kesana kemari dan sebagainya, tidak hijau, maka tidak baik. Sehingga Sustainable Development Goal benar. Keseimbangan antara ekonomi, environment, dan smart society. Nah, kadang kita kebalik-balik. Mana yang disebut dengan karakter kota cerdas, mana yang disebut dengan dimensi. Nah, kalau kami melihat bahwa karakter dari smart solution adalah berkelanjutan, itu pasti green, highly efficient, responsive, integrated, scalable, dan reliable. Nah, tadi sudah disampaikan bagaimana rencana kota, rencana swasta, rencana ini bagaimana kita menjadi suatu connection antara keinginan pemerintah, keinginan warga, keinginan industri sedemikian rupa sehingga terbentuklah suatu sinkronasi ataupun orkestrasi di dalam membangun smart city. Nah, kami mengusulkan juga mengembangkan ini dengan Pak Ari, Smart City Service Canvas. Yang objeknya adalah meningkatkan quality of life. Dari situ muncul orkestra-orkestra yang harus ada, termasuk finansial. Saya kira Asian Development Bank sangat concern di dalam masalah finansial. Kemudian capacity building. Siapa pemainnya? Bagaimana aktivitasnya? Apa value proposition-nya? Tadi contoh-contoh yang sedang dilakukan di Makassar, Pak Dani, Wali Kota Makassar, telah nyapa dengan Sombere Makassar, dengan bagaimana mendapatkan data, bagaimana cost structure, bagaimana investment-nya, bagaimana revenue stream-nya, sehingga terjadilah suatu kerangka kerja membangun kota yang menjadi lebih baik.
2 minutes more, Pak Suwono.
Ya, oke. Two main kategori itu adalah quality of life dan smartest level. Ini contoh yang kita kerjakan tahun ini. Kita sudah melakukan smart city rating selama 4 kali, 2015, 17, 2021, dan ini adalah 20 top cities in Indonesia berdasarkan pengukuran yang kami lakukan dengan metode yang kami lakukan. Ada Semarang, Surabaya, dan seterusnya. Ada masih kebanyakan di ad hoc. 18 kota inisiatif, 30 city ada scatter, 12 city integratif. Jadi belum ada 20% yang keintegratif. Yang smart juga belum ada. Nah, ini tantangan-tantangannya yang menjadikan ini. Nah, terakhir adalah kami mendapat tugas di T20 untuk melihat pengembangan-pengembangan dan juga best practice. Kami mengajak membangun G20 Smarter with Living Lab. Yang ini menjadi satu bagian dari proposal ITB, seperti disampaikan Ibu Rektor tadi, suatu approach menuju improve the quality of life. Sudah ada beberapa kota, suatu daerah, suatu maritim yang ingin bergabung di dalam mengembangkan Living Lab. Maka kami mengundang EDB, teman-teman dari kota-kota lain di dunia untuk membangun smart city, smarter buat Living Lab, rural, urban, dan juga yang lain. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Pak Suwono. 7 minutes. Yeah, a lot of new insight from Pak Suwono for all of us. Yeah, and I see you have done many things for developing smart city in Indonesia. Now we are going for the second polls. Yeah. Second polls. We have another question for all of you, and the question will be appear in your screen. Please read carefully. Opportunities of smart cities or peluang kota cerdas. What is your opinion? There is several choice. Please choose one choice. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and finish. Let's see the result. Wow. The most answer is second choice. Yeah. Strengthen ICT infrastructures. So I think it's very consistent with the first questions. Yeah, the perspective of most respondents here is focused to infrastructures. I think it's very, very good input here. Yeah, we will send it to the government, yeah, through Pak Suwono, yeah, that infrastructure is very important from input from audience. Thank you, Christine. We can move to the next agenda. Yeah. So here we have sorry. Yeah, we have another speaker here, Mr. Zafari Zainal, from Malaysia. Mr. Zafari is a solution analyst from Digital Penang with 10 years of experience working in software development and projects with both public and private sectors in Malaysia. Zafari holds a master in software engineering from University of Manchester and currently is responsible for planning and strategy implementation of smart city in Digital Penang. Mr. Zafari, you have 5 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Terima kasih Pak Ari. Thank you for your introductions. Good morning, everyone. So here today I will be presenting a big topic to share with you guys how Penang to start to become smarter. Next, please. Okay, where we start? The first one, we start with the Penang 2030, where State of Penang launching in August 2018 with a topic of family-focused green and smart state that inspire the nation. With this umbrella, they have 4 particular pillars that is crucial for Penang State in 10 years on the roads. Below there, we see of the recent one, we're launching a CD Square where all the creative and digital art activity will be located. On the middle, this one is about the local government department activities and guidelines where they're responsible to the local council. Then in the local council baseline, they have already set up for 5 pillars, which is mainly is about all the smart cities relevancies, and they also have 7 deliverables in the top there. So because of these 2 is more towards the government. So at Digital Penang, Penang government created the Digital Penang to spearhead it, the activity of digitalization across of the government and all the agencies. That's why if you see on the red boxes there, we identify the common ground that we want to focus on. Next, please. Here, why we wanted to become smarter, because we have identified and we also have our principle on the smart city itself, mainly on the 3 common ground. The first one is relatively about to increase the efficiency of public services. Secondly, we would like to use the smart city as a catalyst to attract opportunities and of the investment to Penang. Then lastly, we would like to have the people to feel and experience the smart city itself. So based on these 3 principles, we derive what is the common problem. So the first one, if you can see when you go to Georgetown, particularly in Malaysia, is very city car oriented. So if you want to walk or to do a cycling, is not very safe there. Then if you opt to go for public transport, it's not relevant, and also it's not a positive experience. So from there, we have identified what we want. Next, please. So we feel that the smart city solution is very crucial for Penang State for the next 10 years. And we know that our friend at local council, mainly at Majlis Bandaraya Pulau Pinang, that reported to local government departments. They didn't. Okay. They didn't have any activities there. So we see from there, we have, we want to do the efficient, check the efficient tools. Then we wanted to use this one as a trial implications. And then number 3 is to get the better communications. Next, please. So this how we want to emulate all the smart city solutions. The first one, based on our data source, we have everything there. So we want to do the intervention, because all the intervention, if you go for the on the ground, is quite expensive. So we do a visualization, then we try to do a training for them in order to do the simulation, policy planning, and also traffic assessment. Next, please. This is the example that we're doing now, the traffic modeling at the cities, mainly pedestrian and traffic improvements. Next, please. This is how we deliver. At the moment, as a Digital Penang, we connect to the external where ADB comes from, then to get the technology support and support from them. Then for MBPP, is for them to do a subject matter expert for policy regulation and implementations. So the key takeaways here is all the report there will be validated by MBPP. Then the gist of this smart solution will be tabled out to Penang State Government for endorsement. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zawari. It's very valuable sharing. Yeah, from Penang we can learn something to apply in other city and in anywhere, yeah, in the world, including in Indonesia. Before we move to the next agenda, I want to ask Christine, is the Pak Safriza video is ready?
Yes, we've downloaded it, Dr. Ari, so we will play it at before the end of the webinar.
Okay. Next, we will move to more interesting, maybe more interactive part of the webinars. Yeah, we will start the panel discussion that will lead by Mr. Said Zadiansyah. Mr. Said is ADB Deputy Country Director for Indonesia. Mr. Said, you can start to lead the panel discussions.
Terima kasih, Pak Ari. Thank you, Pak Ari. I've been asked by the organizers to lead the panel discussions using Bahasa Indonesia. So I will start with Bahasa Indonesia, but I will also lead the Q&A session, and I'll do that in English. Tadi kita sudah mendengarkan beberapa pemaparan dari beberapa narasumber kita. Untuk selanjutnya, untuk panel diskusi ini, saya ada beberapa pertanyaan yang ingin saya ajukan. Tadi kita bicara ya tentang smart cities, kita bicara tentang pentingnya dibangun ICT infrastructure, misalnya di dalam sebuah kota. Kita juga bicara tentang pentingnya tentang kurangnya infrastruktur digital maupun connectivity di kota-kota kita di Indonesia maupun kota-kota lain di Asia, tapi mungkin fokus kita sekarang di Indonesia. Jadi bagaimana prioritas yang mungkin bisa diambil oleh pemerintah untuk membangun kapasitas dari local government ya, dari local government unit staff di Pemda untuk bisa membangun smart city tersebut. Terus juga mungkin saya akan bertanya bagaimana dengan peranan yang diambil oleh lembaga Anda, lembaga narasumber kita berikut ini, untuk membangun agar kota-kota di Indonesia ini menjadi lebih smart ya, menjadi lebih katakanlah digital friendly. Mungkin saya akan minta Pak Gensly Bakhtiar, Kepala Direktorat Administrasi Urban di MOHA atau di Kementerian Dalam Negeri untuk memberikan tanggapan awal terkait hal ini. Saya kasih waktu mungkin sekitar 4-5 menit kepada Pak Gensly. Over to you, Pak.
Terima kasih, Pak, terkait tanggapan yang mungkin kami sampaikan, seperti apa yang Bapak sampaikan di dalam lembaga Kementerian Dalam Negeri, dalam hal ini bagaimana mendorong smart city di Indonesia. Sebenarnya kalau kita melihat, pertama kita akan dukung dengan satu regulasi, di mana saat ini memang kita kekurangan regulasi yang namanya peraturan pemerintah tentang perkotaan, pengelolaan perkotaan. Itu pertama. Yang kedua, sebenarnya dari regulasi sendiri pun sudah diamanatkan ada 6 pelayanan wajib dasar itu yang wajib dilaksanakan oleh pemerintah daerah. Nah, itu sudah tercantum di dalam Undang-Undang nomor 23 tahun 2018, di mana itu juga ada di dalam pilar-pilar smart city yang didorong secara internasional saat ini. Terus yang ketiga, yang perlu kita perhatikan, smart city itu bukan hanya teknologi aja, tapi bagaimana pemerintahan, kelembagaan, dan ini semua juga tidak terlepas daripada political will kepala daerah dan goodwill dari perangkat daerahnya. Nah, inilah peran Kemendagri mendorong supaya bagaimana kota-kota itu bisa nyaman. Contoh, seperti pendidikan, kesehatan, sosial, itu kan turunannya banyak. Nah, ini merupakan diamanatkan dalam undang-undang kita adalah urusan wajib dasar. Kita wajib melaksanakan itu. Bagaimana dengan memadukan teknologi sehingga nanti ini bisa lebih smart. Mungkin itu sementara waktu yang kami sampaikan sehingga smart city kita itu lebih kepada masyarakat. Kalau kami melihat bahwasanya bagaimana masyarakat satu kota bisa nyaman terkait dengan sampah, itu bisa bagaimana teknologi bisa memantau dan lain-lain, IoT semuanya, teknologi itu punya semua. Tapi bagaimana penerapan ini? Pertama, political will kepala daerah dan goodwill perangkat daerahnya, dia paham benar nggak apa yang dinamakan smart city itu. Jadi itu Pak moderator.
Pak Genty, kalau boleh saya, karena kita masih ada sekitar 2 menit lagi ya Pak, kalau boleh tajam sedikit Pak. Tadi mungkin Bapak bicara tentang bagaimana Kemendagri itu bisa mendukung kota-kota di Indonesia menjadi smarter dengan regulasi, dengan juga mendorong political will dari pimpinan daerah. Tetapi Pak, bagaimana membangun kapasitas dari pejabat-pejabat di daerah Pak, di level ASN? Mungkin Bapak bisa kasih tanggapan dalam waktu 1 menit setengah Pak tentang hal ini.
Ya, yang untuk di level ASN sendiri pun, Kemendagri itu dengan capacity building-nya Pak, capacity building terkait dengan unsur-unsur di dalam smart city. Umpamanya siapa? Kita akan seperti pelaksanaan konten sampah. Sampah itu yang terkait di OPD mana. Nah, kita akan bekerja sama, kami di Kemendagri juga dengan unsur perguruan tinggi, kita melibatkan juga UI, kita melibatkan juga seluruh stakeholder, bagaimana kita bersama-sama, seperti IAP, bagaimana kita membangun itu. Sehingga nanti transfer knowledge ke daerahnya, ini kita jembatani dari Kemendagri, khususnya untuk goodwill dari perangkat daerahnya itu Pak. Itu yang kita perlukan Pak. Itulah perannya Kemendagri. Tetapi secara teknis, banyak teman-teman stakeholder lainnya yang menjadi partner kita Pak. Gitu Pak.
Terima kasih Pak Gesi. Ini memang topik yang sangat luas, saya tidak mungkin bisa di capture ya di dalam waktu yang sangat singkat. Tapi terima kasih Pak Gesi. Cukup menarik dan impact ini. Sekarang saya akan minta kepada Ibu Dinda Dewinta ya, panggilannya saya dapat info panggilannya Ibu Dewi ya, Chairwoman Young Planning Professionals Indonesian Association of Urban and Regional Planners. Mungkin saya bisa juga memberikan pertanyaan yang sama kepada Ibu ya. Jadi menurut Ibu bagaimana mungkin Ibu dari sudut non government institution ya. Bagaimana menurut Ibu kita bisa bangun kapasitas dari local government staff ya untuk bisa menciptakan smart cities. Terus bagaimana peranan yang diambil oleh katakanlah lembaga Ibu ya untuk mendorong kota-kota di Indonesia menjadi smart begitu. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Zaid. Suara saya terdengar jelas kah Pak?
Lauren.
Ya, merespon pertanyaan dari Pak Zaid yang menjadi prioritas dalam membangun kapasitas pemerintah daerah untuk mendukung smart city, menurut kami sendiri adalah human resource dari pemerintah daerah itu sendiri. Walaupun memang ada elemen penting lainnya seperti ketersediaan data, kemudian tata kelola data atau tata kelola institusi atau governance, tapi menurut kami human resource adalah hal yang paling penting dalam mempersiapkan dan membangun smart city itu sendiri. Dan ketersediaan data dan tata kelola itu sebenarnya tidak cukup juga gitu. selain kita harus memikirkan ketersediaan data, kita juga harus memikirkan bagaimana sebenarnya kualitas dari data yang tersedia seperti itu. Kemudian kembali ke peningkatan human resource dari pemerintah daerah itu sendiri, apa yang sudah dilakukan oleh IAP selama ini, yang pertama kami secara aktif membangun kapasitas untuk pemerintah daerah melalui training atau workshop. Kemudian kami juga secara aktif melakukan knowledge sharing melalui IAP Talks dengan berbagai macam tema, terutama digital planning tools yang sangat berkaitan dengan smart city ini. Kemudian kami juga meningkatkan proses perencanaan lebih digitalized, terutama dalam data dan analisis. Kemudian kami juga secara aktif melakukan kerjasama dengan pemerintah, kementerian atau lembaga, kemudian juga dengan pemerintah daerah dan juga dengan private sector, contohnya real estate Indonesia. Nah, salah satu partnership yang sudah kami jalankan itu juga bersama dengan Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Tadi seperti disampaikan oleh Pak Gensli, memang kami punya kerjasama dengan MOH terkait peningkatan kapasitas daerah dalam bidang perencanaan wilayah dan kota. Nah, selain partnership ini, kami juga mendukung terwujudnya satu data Indonesia dengan melakukan beberapa aktivitas seperti melakukan joint inisiatif dengan pemerintah daerah, dalam hal ini DKI Jakarta, yaitu Dinas Penanaman Modal dan Pelayanan Terpadu Satu Pintu. Kemudian kami juga bekerja sama dengan NGO seperti IKLE Indonesia, kemudian Lokahita, dan kami juga bekerja sama dengan kementerian lembaga seperti Badan Informasi Geospasial dan juga Kementerian Perencanaan Pembangunan Nasional atau Bappenas. Nah, kemudian kami juga aktif melakukan diskusi tematik dengan pusat data dan informasi beberapa kementerian dan juga pusat Artificial Intelligence ITB. Kemudian kami juga menyumbangkan gagasan dan ide-ide melalui publikasi. Seperti contohnya di akhir tahun 2020, karena IAP sangat concern dengan anak muda, kami menerbitkan publikasi 10 esai dari anak perencana muda Indonesia terkait perencanaan kota yang sehat untuk merespon pandemi COVID-19. Kemudian kami juga melakukan kajian dan menerbitkannya menjadi sebuah publikasi yang berjudul The Next Generation Indonesia Cities, yang dimana itu merupakan insight dari para perencana muda atau kaum milenial terkait perkembangan isu-isu perkotaan, terutama yang berhubungan dengan smart cities, dan juga insight dari milenial terkait pemindahan ibu kota negara dan bagaimana smart design-nya nantinya. Kemudian kami juga menerbitkan kumpulan dari IAP Talks yang berhubungan dengan digital planning tools, dan ini sangat berkaitan sekali dengan smart cities, dan apabila Bapak Ibu dan teman-teman yang hadir saat ini ingin mengetahui lebih banyak tentang digital planning tools, dapat membaca publikasi tersebut. Kemudian ada 3 poin utama yang ingin saya sampaikan terkait peran IAP. Yang pertama, IAP akan terus melakukan peningkatan prosedur perencanaan termasuk digital planning tools. Kemudian yang kedua, kami menyarankan ada kepastian hak dan kewajiban bagi para perencana di perencanaan tata ruang yang semakin digitalized saat ini. Dan yang terakhir, kami juga mempromosikan perception based survey melalui Most Livable City Index sebagai pelengkap untuk data-driven indexes, contoh seperti SDGs, Resilient Cities, dan lain-lain. Itu yang dapat saya share siang ini, Pak Zaid. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Ibu Dewi. Saya bisa tangkap ya dari semangatnya Ibu Dewi, dari paparan Ibu Dewi, banyak yang telah dilakukan oleh IAP untuk mendorong kota-kota di Indonesia menjadi smart cities. Well done ya untuk itu. Selanjutnya saya akan meminta pada Pak Elwis Rustam. Beliau ini adalah Executive Director dari Asosiasi Pemerintah Kota Indonesia. Saya ada 2 pertanyaan, ya Pak ya, dan yang sama saya ajukan tadi kepada Pak Gensli dan kepada Ibu Dewi, yaitu bagaimana kita bisa membangun kapasitas dari government ya, atau dari ISN Pemda katakanlah untuk membangun smart cities. Ya, apa yang jadi prioritas Pak untuk kita lakukan pembangunan kapasitas tersebut? Dan yang kedua, apa yang telah dilakukan oleh Apexi ya untuk mendorong agar kota-kota di Indonesia itu menjadi lebih smart. Waktunya waktu dan layar saya serahkan kepada Pak Alwis. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Said. 7 menit ya Pak.
5 menit Pak.
Oke. Pertama, how to build capacity. Pertama, menurut saya capacity building tidak cukup, tapi harus didukung dengan advokasi kebijakan sehingga political will itu sampai kepada lahirnya beberapa turunan berupa penganggaran, pelembagaan, dan support system yang memang disediakan oleh pemerintah kota. Jadi untuk penguatan kapasitas local government itu, advokasi kebijakan satu hal, kemudian capacity building dalam konteks tidak hanya teknis, tapi juga non-teknis ya, bagaimana enabling environment, support system itu juga terjadi di level kota secara strategis. Gitu. Nah, yang terakhir baru dukungan yang sifatnya mungkin public communication dengan berbagai upaya-upaya awarding dan lain-lain. Apa upaya Apexi untuk meningkatkan supaya kota mampu dapat komitmen politiknya, kapasitasnya makin meningkat dan secara support system terbangun. Asosiasi Pemerintah Kota seluruh Indonesia untuk 98 kota melakukan berbagai hal dalam menghandle berbagai persoalan yang sekarang menjadi persoalan di anggota kami, Pak Said. Pertama adalah bagaimana misalnya kota ini nggak kebingungan justru gitu. Karena banyak sekali inovasi dan intervensi yang dilakukan, baik itu oleh perguruan tinggi, International Development Agencies misalnya, atau berbagai upaya-upaya yang dilakukan kementerian yang juga sifatnya sektoral kadang-kadang ya, pariwisata bikin, dan lain-lain bikin, Kominfo bikin. Nah, challenge-nya memang tentu seperti Pak Gensli bilang regulasi, tapi kadang-kadang memang regulasi ini lebih kepada opportunity ya. Jadi siapa yang paling kencang dekat ke Pak Gensli ini kadang-kadang mungkin itu yang lebih terinstall gitu ya, mungkin ya dalam konteks platform, strategi dan lain-lain. Padahal menurut saya itu harus berangkat dari customized approach yang itu berasalkan dari pain atau apa ya, problem krusial atau penderitaan apa sih yang diderita oleh kota itu sehingga dia harus menggunakan smart city supaya problem solving itu terjadi secara smart gitu kan Pak ya. Standar pelayanan minimum misalnya untuk satu kota gitu, atau berbagai ukuran-ukuran misalnya untuk kota yang misalnya tidak di pinggir pantai gitu ya. Di Komwil 6 kami ada 6 Komwil, 6 regional di Indonesia, misalnya Komwil 6 di Maluku, Maluku Utara, Papua Barat itu dari 17 kota itu 14-nya itu dari 17 kota 14-nya itu di pinggir pantai. Tapi di daerah lain, nah pengukurannya kan beda. Ketika dilakukan secara kategori, populasi, kekuatan fiskal dan lain-lain, bahkan juga demografi, bahkan sampai ke tipologi kota, kota kecil, kota menengah, kota sedang, tentu indikator pengukuran indeks dan lain-lain ini perlu Pak, supaya betul-betul. Nah, Apexi bergerak dalam hal itu untuk mendorong supaya anggota kita, wali kota, kepala daerah tidak bingung, dan gap pengetahuan di antara kepala daerah itu juga kan problem. Di era otonomi daerah seperti Indonesia ini, ketika ada satu pemerintah kayak tahun kemarin, Pak Said, itu Indonesia melakukan pilkada serentak, lahirlah wali kota baru, kira-kira 50-an, dan mayoritas adalah newcomers yang juga mempunyai knowledge dan pengetahuan dan imajinasi tentang smart city dan install dari berbagai pihak. Nah, ini yang perlu tantangan bagi Apexi adalah menjembatani. Kami rapat intens dengan kawan-kawan di IAP, dengan Kemendagri, Bappenas, dengan kawan-kawan lainnya, itu untuk bagaimana anggota kami tidak bingung justru, dan lebih confidence. Dan sebetulnya Pak Said, sekedar informasi, banyak sekali wali kota, kami melakukan berbagai knowledge forum, Smart City tiap tahun kami ada, kemudian ada expo-nya, ada sharing session, bahkan itu levelnya dibagi-bagi, ada level wali kota saja, ada Kominfo saja, ada dinas teknis saja, ada yang support system tadi yang itu juga melibatkan mendudukkan pentahelix Pak, perguruan tinggi yang disebutkan tadi, kemudian media, bahkan juga komunitas-komunitas NGO, komunitas masyarakat maksud saya, dan juga bahkan pihak-pihak swasta, karena teman-teman swasta ini luar biasa juga mensupport daerah itu dalam upaya-upaya baik secara platform ya smart city maupun ekosistem yang saya bilang culture untuk smart city itu bisa jalan gitu. Jadi that's all I think.
Oke, makasih Pak Alwis atas paparannya. Menarik sekali ini mendapatkan perspektif dari dari pihak Kemendagri, dari pihak IAP maupun tadi dari pihak Apexi. Saya tahu waktu sudah sangat terbatas ya. Jadi mungkin saya akan langsung ke Q&A. Saya lihat waktu untuk Q&A ini mungkin saya harus batasi juga ya. Jadi saya tidak bisa mengambil seluruh Q&A questions yang muncul. Tetapi saya coba ya menangkap beberapa pertanyaan yang muncul. Jadi mungkin ini ada pertanyaan ya dari Pak Ariandi Bangun. What should be the first priority to make a smart city roadmap in Indonesia? Itu mungkin pertanyaan yang pertama. What should be the first priority to make a smart city roadmap in Indonesia? Terus ada lagi pertanyaan, is there any cities that should become priority for smart city development? Jadi apakah is there any cities that should become priority for smart city development and why? Ya, jadi itu mungkin dua pertanyaan ya. Mungkin dari speakers kita ada yang ingin menjawab pertanyaan ini. Saya buka, kalau nggak saya tunjuk ya. Tapi sebelum saya tunjuk, saya coba kalau ada yang ingin mengajukan jawabannya. Is there any cities that should become priority for smart development and why? Pak Suwono?
Ya.
Ya, silakan Pak.
Ya. Oke. Saya kira menarik sekali tadi ya yang disampaikan oleh para narasumber. Persoalan-persoalan yang kami hadapi di lapangan juga sangat lumayan ya. Tentu saja akademia tidak ingin campur tangan, tetapi menerapkan riset-riset yang ada di universitas sehingga kami bebas, independen untuk memberikan masukan. Nah, memang mungkin dianggap pendekatan-pendekatan kok banyak sekali begitu ya. Kita modelnya adalah sinergi antara beberapa stakeholder. Pasti ujung-ujungnya ada kota, desa, negara kalau dari dunia. Nah ini saya kira konsepnya adalah sinergi, kemudian juga kolaborasi yang saling terbuka sehingga kita bisa memberikan masukan-masukan dari masing-masing bidang ataupun apakah di pemerintah, apakah di asosiasi, apakah di pemerintah pusat, daerah, dan akademia maupun industri. Disitulah kota adalah bagian dari inklusif yang kita bangun bersama. Kota adalah milik kita bersama. Nah, masalah ada hal yang ini kok banyak memang pendekatan pemahaman. Sebetulnya kota ini seperti apa, kemudian tanggung jawab seperti apa. Persoalan berikutnya adalah wali kota itu atau pimpinan kota itu setiap 5 tahun berganti. Nah, disitulah yang kadang-kadang ini memberikan pengertian baru lagi. Sudah seperti yang disampaikan Bu Rektor kami adalah fungsinya ada Tridharma perguruan tinggi, bagaimana pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian masyarakat. Saya kira itu peran yang ada, sinergi, kolaborasi untuk kota yang inklusif, yang bisa kita bangun secara bersama. Makasih.
Okay. So if I can go to Joris, ya. Joris, if you could maybe respond to what should be the first priority to make a smart city roadmap in Indonesia. This is a question from Pak Ariandi Bangun.
Yeah, thank you very much, Said, and thank you, panelists. And I've been active on the Q&A platform also to try and provide some answers. So where to start? I think, of course, yeah, you need to start with if you don't have a plan, you for sure get lost. Yeah, so you need to make a plan, and in order to make a plan, you need to know where you are right now and where you want to go. Now, and where you want to be right now, where you are right now, for that you need data. You need to collect these data. You need to store these data. You need to analyze these data, and you need to actively use these data to then make decisions as to where do we have space for us to become smarter. And I think as you go through a structured process, we are very keen as ADB to support. And since we cannot support all cities, the ASEAN Australia Smart Cities Trust Fund is developing online training courses for cities which helps them to go through that process of setting priorities, understanding the key challenges, and identifying the entry points for being more smarter. Thank you very much, Said.
Yeah, thank you for that. Time is running out. Yeah, we're now at 11:44. We're supposed to conclude this at 11:45. We've heard from a number of speakers, a number of resource persons. I think the path journey for Indonesia to create more smart cities is still a bit long and arduous, but with this sort of forum and with collaborations and synergy between the different stakeholders, I'm sure that we will get there sooner rather than later. And ADB as a multilateral development institution is keen to provide support. Smart cities development is a key agenda for us, and we're very fortunate as well to have a very strong senior urban specialist in our team that can help push this agenda forward in collaboration, obviously, with everybody involved here. So I would like to conclude my portion of the moderation of this forum and hand it back to Pak Ari Arman. Pak Ari Arman, back to you.
Thank you. Terima kasih Pak Said. Yeah. Before I close the webinars, I want to ask to Kristen, is it video of Pak Safrizal is ready to run?
Yes, the video is ready and we can run it now.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Prof. Reni Wirahadi Kusuma, Rektor ITB. Yang terhormat Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam, Direktur Jenderal for Southeast Asia ADB, Jiro Tominaga, Country Director Indonesia Resident Mission, Mr. Joris Van Etten, Senior Urban Development Specialist ADB, and Coordinator ASEAN Australia Smart City Trust Fund, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be upon you all. On this important occasion, let us be thankful for the presence of God and all His blessing, so that we can attend this ADB ITB Southeast Asia Development Symposium together in this place. Ladies and gentlemen, smart city is briefly defined as an urban arrangement for governance that applies information and communication technology to increase benefit and reduce the negative impact of urbanization. Smart city implementation is needed to solve various problems such as traffic congestion, waste, decreasing of water, and air quality and crime. The smart city implementation is in accordance with the government initiation in developing the digital transformation strategy framework as a guideline for implementing the digitalization process. The implementation is directed at 3 strategic sectors, namely digital government, digital economy, and digital society, where the implementation of smart city is one of the indicators in the development of digital government that have been set to be a sectoral and national target, where the focus of smart city development is emphasized on 6 main pillars, namely smart governance, smart mobility, smart economy, smart living, smart people, and smart environment. Indonesia Ministry of Home Affairs, as the axis of national regional government in the development of smart city policy, in accordance with Article 12 of the Law Number 23/2014 of regional government, where the smart city development are prioritized. First, to fulfill the implementation of compulsory affairs of basic services, namely education, health, public works, spatial planning, community housing, settlement area, public order and community protection, Otram Tibum Linmas in Bahasa, and social. After that, the additional affairs according to regional government competitiveness. Concerning the matters to ensure the completion of the smart city implementation on public services, the Ministry of Home Affairs is committed to finalize the government regulation on urban areas. One of the aim of the government regulation on urban areas is to provide regulation for the local government in implementing the urban management using smart city master plans, through innovation, collaboration, and the utilization of digital technology according to the need of citizen and each local area's wisdom. Furthermore, the government regulation on urban areas will also regulate the urban service standard, which will be used as a standard to monitor the completion of public services using technology. The regulation will also be used upon the decision-making process of the policies by each local government. We hope that the regulation will reduce the occurrence of problems in urban areas, which indicator can be measured according to the need of the urban and the role of size of each urban area by measuring aspect of usefulness, equity, and affordability. Other than guaranteeing the fulfillment of public services for each citizen, Smart City also aim to increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of local government by enabling and facilitating collaboration and coordination between institutions in the regional government. To ensure the coordination and collaboration between Regency, city government are perfectly executed, the province government should take the role in bridging collaboration and coordination between Regency or city region and the private sector in order to overcome problems in the provision of public services in each area. Ladies and gentlemen, and in conclusion, I hope all participants could contribute by sharing their knowledge and experience, especially in the development of smart city area. Smart city is not always about adequate internet access and ICT base. However, smart city is about how the city can manage its resources effectively and efficiently so that the citizen can live in a comfortable, safe, and sustainable living. Thank you for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Safrizal, that represent Home Affairs Ministry. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, finally we arrived to the end of our webinars. First, I want to make a very simple conclusion, only the list of issues. Yeah, I have several issues highlighted. The first thing is the priority related to vision, planning, etc. The second one is data analytic, also data management. The third one is infrastructure, digital infrastructures. And the next one is the capacity building, especially for human resource or human capital. And the final one is the importance of regulation related to smart city. And I also have several informations. Yeah, the first one, the slide presentation and the webinar recording will be available, and information will be sent to you. Yeah. in next several days, including the attendance of certificate. The second one, we also encourage attendees to fill out a webinar evaluation form, which will greatly help us improve our upcoming webinars. The information to give evaluations can start with the QR code that we can see in the screen. And this is the final things. On behalf of our speakers and the webinar organizing teams, thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you at your next webinar. See you. Good morning. Good afternoon. Okay.